What is up, my ninja? Shinobi here with a recap video for BlizzCon 2015 for Diablo 3. I got finished watching the hour-long panel for Diablo, and then I wanted to kind of just take my notes and kind of just like think about some of the stuff that we were told and just kind of collect my thoughts overnight and then get up today, edit all the stuff, and then shoot the video. So that way I can give a little bit more time to think about it. Usually I try to get it up as quick as possible. That's why it wasn't up right away. I do also want you to keep in mind that I will definitely have a lot of opinions about this stuff, and they are just that, opinions. But at the end of the day, even if I say good things about this stuff or bad things about this stuff, keep in mind that more is always better. We're getting more stuff, and that's a good thing, and I want people to remember that, because you may be saying, well, how come there isn't this or that, or why didn't they talk about this or that? Obviously there could have been more that Blizzard did with they only had an hour-long panel. We were hoping to see more of it for sure. At the end of the video, I'm going to talk about my overview, just kind of my overall thoughts about the entire thing. And I have a lot of screenshots and things like that to put up here, so you're not going to be just staring at my face the entire time. So let's go ahead and get into all the information and give you some of my thoughts and opinions about everything and try to explain things to you as best of my knowledge. So the first thing I want to talk about is pretty much what this whole entire panel was talking about. And this whole panel is talking about patch 2.4, which is going to be coming in Season 5. Now, they also give us a time that how long the seasons are going to be and everything like that. For now on, they want to do 3-month seasons. This season that we're in right now, Season 4, is supposed to end near the end of December. Then there's going to be about a 2-week downtime, and then Season 5 will be starting up, and patch 2.4 with that as well. Now, they told us that next week we're actually going to be able to start doing PTR testing for the new patch, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. So all this stuff that I'm talking about right here, majority of it is most likely going to be in this PTR that we're going to be able to test out. So we have a new zone here, which is the Grey Hollow Island, and we're also going to have 2 new areas as well. We have the Eternal Woods, Royal Quarters, and the Grey Hollow Island is the new zone. In this, they're also giving us 175 new bounties, which will be split up between Acts 3, 4, and 5, which is cool. I mean, more is always a good thing, but bounties, I've always felt that bounties is kind of like doing dailies. It's kind of like you don't really care about the bounties in particular. Like, getting new bounties obviously is cool because we get to switch things up a little bit, but I don't know if people really care that much about what you do in that bounty. People just want to do bounties quickly, get it done and over with, get your rewards, and move on. And with them adding new bounties, maybe there are a lot faster bounties out there that'll make it a little bit more enjoyable for people, which is good, but at the same time, new bounties is something we've seen very frequently, something we were kind of assuming we were going to get anyways, but it is nice that we are getting some more variety. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is a pretty cool thing that I think a lot of you guys are really going to be excited for, and that is a new UI improvement, which is mainly going to be oriented around buffs and things like that. So you guys know, if you're ever in a group with people and you got a bunch of mantras and war cries and things like that, you always have these buffs sitting there, and you can't keep an eye on your focus and restraint, can't keep an eye on your conventional elements and things like that, because there's just so many buffs just cluttering the bar at the bottom. But now, what they're deciding to do is they're changing the way the UI looks a little bit, and hopefully on the screen you'll be able to see what that looks like by adding a little bit of a green bar that tells you the duration left on that skill to show you that the skill is active, as well with a gold little border around the outside, and then you have a little tab that puts all the really long buffs that you have that are always up, but you don't need to constantly see them, puts them in a little convenient thing for you, which is really nice, and that's definitely something I think we've all really wanted to have in the game. Now, the next thing here is something that is near and dear to my heart, something that I've talked about so much in the course of probably the last year, of just talking about this over and over again. I made a whole video about it. I've talked about it in multiple videos, talked about it in streams, stuff like this that we need, the game needs to be fixed for this, and that is the disparity between solo play and group play. So what they are doing here is they're going to be lowering the amount of the monster health for solo play, and just kind of scaling it a little bit better, kind of changing the gap between 4-player and single player so it's not as much of a disparity. And I think that that's exactly what they should do. It's the exact actual thing that I said they should do. Like that is what you should do. You know, just make sure that, I mean, there should be reward to playing in a 4-person group, right? Like strength in numbers, I think is way more than enough already. Like that is enough right there. The fact that it's easier to also kill stuff and you get extra bonuses and stuff on top of that, that's going a little bit too far. So I'm really excited to see what the solo play is going to be like and how it compares to a 4-player group. And you know, this is going to change things up for the solo leaderboards as well. Does this mean that in the greater rifts now it's going to scale a little bit differently when you play solo? So you're going to see people in solo greater rifts getting much higher greater rifts now? I think that might be the case. So we're going to have to see with time. PTR is coming out soon. Definitely do some testing on that, and really, really looking forward to it. Now, on the same topic of that group and solo play, I did talk a little bit about XP. And XP is something that Paragons in general have gone completely out of control. Just having it be just, you know, a Paragon farm fest for 2 straight months of playing 15 hours a day. Most players are sitting around 700, 800 Paragon, whereas the, you know, in a season, whereas like the people that play 15 plus hours a day are like Paragon 2000 plus. That's a huge gap right there. You're going to have players that are going to be just have so much more benefits, way more base stats than, you know, thousands of strength more than some other person that doesn't have the time or even just wants to do it. Not everybody wants to just sit there and grind Paragons 24/7 and spend the majority of your season doing that. You know, you want to spend the majority of your season actually pushing. You want to spend the majority of your season collecting gear, trying out different builds, testing, things like that. That's what people want to spend the majority of their season doing, not farm, Paragon, Paragon. It's part of the reason why I haven't made very many videos lately, because, you know, what kind of guide do you want? Well, the only thing we're doing right now is Paragon, so do those. There's your guide. You know, it's like, it's just kind of silly. So what they are doing with the experience is they are nerfing it quite a bit, and they're changing the fact that no longer will you be really forced into wearing like cane set and things like that. They want you to wear the gear that you're wearing, and then they're going to supplement the XP increases. They're going to give us a 50% base increase of XP to everybody, so you don't have to wear that gear anymore. And I don't know if that's going to stop us. We might still end up wearing that gear, but they are nerfing those items so that XP is not going to be quite as high. But it does make me kind of worry, because they have this new thing set up where there's this little this kill streak combo thing you get that you're gonna, you know, if you're really effectively going through the Greater Rift, which just about anybody is, most players know how to, you know, kill things efficiently. You're going to be going through and you're going to be stacking up a lot more XP reward there by doing this stuff efficiently. And you know, does that mean that we're still going to have people getting Paragon 2000, 3000 or something like that? I mean, they did say that we're going to get less XP, but then they talked about how we're going to, you know, it's going to be supplemented with that and with the base increase that they're going to do. So I really hope that the Paragon system gets fixed, because I swear if next month I'm spending 2 months doing Paragons because you got to get Paragon 2000 plus, that's going to take a lot of fun out of the game for me and many people out there as well. So, you know, PTR is coming up. Guys, put your feedback out there so we can get this kind of thing taken care of before it goes live in Season 5 and then ruins everything once again. The way that I see Paragons is essentially like Trials, but more fun. Trials were just not fun in general. Paragons are kind of fun, but you don't want to spend the majority of your season doing it. And just like you didn't want to spend the majority of your season doing Trials either. So the next thing I want to talk about is something that's really cool, and for multiple reasons. At first, it's not going to sound that cool. When I first heard empowered rifts, I thought of something different. I thought, wow, we have Nephilim rifts, greater rifts, and then a separate rifting system called empowered rifts. What that is, you know, maybe you go in there and you just farm in there and you just, you know, upgrade your gems in there and stuff like that. It's something separated from the greater rifts, kind of a different layout and things like that. That's what I first thought it was when they first said the words empowered rift. It's not quite as cool, but it is pretty cool. So what it is essentially is just like doing greater rifts that you always do. What you're going to do is be able to empower those greater rifts, which means that you can pay a gold fee to get more rolls on your legendary gems, and it really scales based off of the greater rift level that you're doing. I'll put a picture up on there so you can see exactly what that looks like. So it does scale a lot. It's going to make it so that if you really want to min-max, then you're going to need a lot of gold. And this might be a cool thing as well for, you know, coming up with certain kind of gold farming routes, you know, doing the vaults and how efficiently can we do the vaults and other things like that. So it does open up some other things, which is really cool. But the thing that's really cool behind this, because this is just the start of this is where it gets even better. And we move on to the next thing, which is the Kanai's Cube new recipe. And what the new recipe is, I'll show a little video clip for you on the screen from the presentation. Pretty much what it is you can level up a gem in there, a legendary gem, and then you can consume it by putting the materials in there with that gem, and then you can actually upgrade current items that you have to get more benefits out of it. So this is another way of min-maxing your gear. This is essentially like having your regular legendaries, your ancient legendaries, and then your empowered ancient legendaries, taking it kind of like to the next step. And that's kind of what it's going to be like. So this is going to give us essentially a gold sink to not only level up our legendary gems higher, but to also use those extra legendary gems that we don't use and the extra gold that we don't use to actually get more benefits to the gear that we do use. So I think that is definitely really cool. There were, you know, a few visible changes as well. They're changing the way that DBs look, so that's pretty awesome. I would have liked to see maybe a little UI improvement or something, that you could maybe auto pick up items a little bit easier, like a little checkbox maybe in your options where you could pick up DBs instantly or whatever, like certain items you can target farm for, because having to, like, you know, it takes you like a minute or two to do like a T8 or T9 rift and you go through, but you're spending probably 30-40 seconds throughout the entire rift just stopping to pick up a DB or something. So it feels like an inefficient way to get those DBs, whereas if you could just run by it and just kind of scoop it up and you could just target farm for that kind of stuff, that would be really cool. But at least this is something that's going to help you see those DBs a little bit easier and maybe make it a little bit more efficient for you. Now the next thing I want to talk about is that there is going to be 50 new legendaries coming up. I'm not going to go over every single one. They only went over a few of them anyways. However, we know, like, just like having new bounties in a new patch, we know there's going to be new legendaries as well. The things that I primarily want to talk about though are some of the reworks to some sets that we have here. The first one I want to talk about is the Thorns set, the Invoker set, which I know a lot of people were expecting this was going to happen. It's a Crusader set now, and it has a 6-piece here, and you can see just kind of what it looks like, and it's pretty cool. You know, it'll be interesting to try it out. I don't know if I'll play Crusader again anytime soon, but one class that I will play again very soon is the Demon Hunter. In Season 5, I'm going to be all over the Demon Hunter. You guys know, big time Demon Hunter fan back in the day, did a lot of, you know, records and achievements with the Demon Hunter back in the day, and I haven't really had a lot of time to, you know, invest into the Demon Hunter because I haven't really liked the builds and specs that we've had up until now. Even though they have been a good class, I just wasn't really like into that idea behind it. But the rework to the Shadow's Mantle set is pretty cool. A melee Demon Hunter. It's a ninja. Like, come on, it's a ninja. Me, Shinobi. Plain and simple. I'm playing a ninja next season. Case closed. There you go. So that's going to be pretty much what we do. I heard there's a very strong set right now too, like it's a little OP, but I'm going to do some testing on that on PTR and see what I think. So definitely looking very excited for that, and yeah, it's pretty cool. They're also going to be doing a lot more, you know, reworks as well, like the Jade set's being reworked and a few other sets as well. I think Firebird is being reworked. So you just look for that. I'll keep you guys updated on that, and you can always check out my live stream channel when I'll be, you know, going through that stuff as well. Now the next thing we got to talk about here is set dungeons. Now when I first heard about this leaked information, and now we know it's a confirmed thing, there are set dungeons that'll be coming out in patch 2.4, And when you first think of set dungeons, what do you think of? Okay, there's two situations. One, it would be maybe like a dungeon that you go to, you fight a boss, and you get like loot that you can't get some other way, and maybe it's an alternative way to farm loot instead of having to constantly do rifts and greater rifts. You can actually go into the world and do, dungeons. That's cool. It's not exactly that. The other thing that people thought set dungeons was going to be is something where it's actually set greater rifts, where you have they pre-make greater rift levels and you go through and do those, and that's not it either. What set greater rifts are is they are really built around your sets. So what you will do is you will find a tome, and when you pick up the tome, it's going to give you a clue on where the portal is for your set that you're wearing. So let's say you're wearing the Juliana set and you want to do the Juliana's set dungeon. Well, you find the little tome that you're going to, get a clue to know where to go. You find where the portal is, and then you go into the portal, and I'll show you a little bit of footage on the screen on what that looks like. And you go in, and essentially what you want to do while in there is you want to complete some objectives. And when you complete these objectives, they're pretty much going to be like oriented around your set. So utilizing, for instance, with the Julianas, it's going to be wanting you to exploding palm X amount of monsters or something like that and blow them up at one time. It is kind of a cool idea. It's kind of like a little bit trading thing for maybe some of the newer players to the game to kind of get them used to using that set. So I kind of think that's pretty cool. I would just like to see a lot more of these set dungeons, but yeah, that's pretty much the idea behind it, is just going through and completing this. And I don't know how long this stuff is going to take. That's kind of the main concern that I have, is that this sounds like a really cool thing that might extend the amount of time that people play in a season before getting bored and then taking a break or something like that. But it doesn't sound like it's something that's going to take really that much time. Like, finding items is pretty quick in the game right now, so finding this set, going through and doing it won't really take that long. However, there are 24 that you can do all together, and if you do all 24, you get this. That's right, wings. You get some pretty sweet wings. That looks really cool. Looking forward to that. And yeah, pretty much. But you also get other rewards. You don't have to go through and complete all of them. Some of the other rewards you get is like the specific class rewards. You get the pennants that you can wear on your character, the little banner thing. So, each class has its own pennant that you can go through, saying that you did go through with the Demon Hunter ones, or you went through with the Witch Doctor ones, or whatever. And that's pretty much it. So you just wear your set piece. You go find the tome, you find the area you got to go to, you complete the thing, and then you just do that with all the sets, and then you get your pennant and things like that. So it is something else to do. And like I said, more is always better, but it's not quite, I think, what we were expecting. Alright guys, now we have this other new feature that they are adding to the game for Season 5, which will be Rebirth to Seasonal. Now, I'm not 100% sure on how all of this works just of yet. It was a little weird when he was explaining it, but essentially from what I took from it is if you have a character that, let's say you want to do seasonal, but you don't want to make a new character because you run out of rooms on your character select screen, you can instead rebirth a character. So you use the same character, you still have the same play time on that character and everything, but that character goes back to level 1. And then what happens from there is, after it goes back to level 1, all of your items will be mailed to your non-season characters, so you can still hold on to those items and you can use this character in the season, and then when the character comes back, then he can go back to being a non-season character again. So the only thing that I think this really does is it just allows you to keep your time played, which I don't think people really care about that much. I think the biggest thing that this actually does is frees up room for you to reuse the same characters in the seasonal. This doesn't mean that you get to bring your gear over from the seasons. I'm pretty sure that's not how it works. That would kind of just ruin seasons to begin with. So that's pretty much it, is that all it's doing is really freeing up character select screen areas for you. Like for me, I have a lot of characters on there and I run out of room constantly and I have to like delete characters and stuff. So I think this is just a fix to kind of help with that. I don't think it's much more than that though. Now we also have here a stash tab. summary screen that you're looking at right now, and yes, that's right, we are getting a whole new stash, essentially. The stash that we have right now with 5 tabs in it, we are getting the same thing again. So it's essentially doubling the amount of room we have on our stash, but the way that you acquire this is a little bit different. You're not just going to join Season 5 and instantly get all this. What's going to happen is when you join Season 5, and you're purchasing all your stash tabs, it's going to give you an extra stash tab. So instead of having 5, you're going to have 6 to start off with, and then as you complete your seasonal journey, you're going to unlock more of them. So that way, eventually, you're going to have all of them. So the more you play the game, the more room you're going to have, which makes sense. It makes you feel like you're accomplishing something, and at the same time, giving you more of what you want, and that's pretty cool. So, yep. We got more stash space. I know something that people ask for constantly in Diablo, and it's pretty cool that we have it now. Alright guys, so like I said, we have a lot of stuff coming up here. We have the PTR going on next week that will be starting up. We have Season 4 ending near the end of December. We have Season 5 starting up probably in the beginning of January area, but so it looks like we'll have about a month and a half of PTR for Season 5, which this is a big patch. So now I want to give my overall thoughts about all of this here. Like I said, it is a big patch, and there are a lot of things in here as far as patch related stuff is. But what I want to talk about right now is 3 things that were not talked about at this BlizzCon that I think a lot of people were really interested about to know a little bit more about the future of the game and the current state of the game. So the first thing that wasn't talked about is an expansion. This is a time where a new expansion should be coming out. What's the deal? There was no talk about it whatsoever, and now we're kind of thinking, okay, the way that they were kind of talking in the beginning of the panel, they kind of were like angling towards they want Reaper of Souls to be the best game it can be, and they want to do a lot more stuff with Reaper of Souls. So I guess without talking about an expansion, they really want to focus more on Reaper of Souls right now before coming out with a new expansion. Now, I'm going to give a little bit of my speculation on why I think that is the case. First off, yes, Reaper of Souls is not completely polished. There's a lot of problems with the game. I'm going to talk about a few of those in a second, but I think that that's part of the reason why there's not a new expansion coming up soon. Another part of the reason is, you have Warcraft coming out with a new Demon Hunter, which is like a Diablo thing, essentially. Demon Hunter, Diablo. They also have a new thing in Warcraft where it doesn't matter where you're leveling, the zone around you scales to you. Kind of like Diablo 3, it doesn't matter where you go, monsters are always your level, right? They're always on your same thing when you're going through adventure mode anyways. So that's kind of something that I think like they really want you to kind of focus on, maybe, focus on this game a little bit more, to polish it a little bit more, and then maybe people, if they get bored, which they will if they don't come out with much more than this, then, people are going to play Warcraft and maybe the new Overwatch game, which does look really cool, and I know Blizzard really wants to push those games. At the same time, I'm pretty sure that the new StarCraft expansion was released during BlizzCon this weekend. If that, someone can correct me on that if that's not the case, but because I don't really know much about StarCraft, but that's what I just heard, which I think is a brilliant idea for really marketing and promoting that game, doing it at such a big event. So I think that it's possible, this is my speculation, that if there is going to be a new expansion for Diablo 3, it'll most likely go into beta testing, be announced and go into beta testing somewhere around summer of next year, and then during BlizzCon they will release it, because StarCraft is a little bit of a smaller game than Warcraft and Hearthstone and stuff like that, so I think that's the extra push that they'd like to give to the game. So most likely, my feeling is we would see next year during BlizzCon a new expansion would be released. That's still a long ways away though. That's kind of my concern with it, because it's like, okay, we got a new patch now, but you didn't talk about anything going on past that. So this is a big patch, and when you go to BlizzCon, you want to bring the best that you have. So this is the best they have right now. So if this is the best you have, what happens after this season? Are we going to get lesser patches, or are you going to constantly keep up this style of patch? Is this going to be the norm from now on? So we don't know yet. It's just kind of scary to think about, like for me, my channel is mainly oriented around Diablo 3, and when there's less content, there's less stuff for me to make videos about, less stuff for me to actually enjoy the game with, and for us to enjoy it together as a community. So, of course I want Diablo to perform the best that it possibly can, but I also, want you guys to enjoy the game and have an awesome experience as well. So, that's kind of my concern with the whole expansion thing is, it would have been great if they at least said something about it, like even just took a minute to say, hey, look, we got all this awesome stuff going, we want to really polish Reaper Souls before we do an expansion. Our goal is to possibly do an expansion in the future. We'll keep you updated on that in the future. They could have said something like that, and I think that would have made a lot of people feel a little bit better. But I know they don't want to make any promises or anything, but at the same time, don't leave your loyal fans, lingering and waiting to hear any kind of news, especially something as big as that. The next thing that they didn't talk about is the balancing of greater rifts, which is one of the biggest issues in the game. The two biggest issues in the game is balancing greater rifts and paragons, and they didn't talk about either of those, essentially. They did talk about XP a little bit, but they didn't talk about how it's going to orient with something like paragons. But as far as like the greater rifts and fishing goes, you spend so much time doing paragons and you spend so much time fishing, when do you actually get to do the stuff you actually want? When do you actually get to do the greater rift that you want and push and hit that, leaderboard climbing up there? That's kind of the problem. And they don't really talk about how they're going to, fix things with greater rifts. Are they gonna like make new maps? Are they gonna have more monster types like be put into the greater rifts and maybe balance maybe some of the progression, some of the fishing that we have to do in these greater rifts? It's something that I know that they say that they want RNG to be a part of it, but I think you can do RNG in a fun way, in a good way, instead of 80% of the greater rifts are garbage and 10% of them are average and 10% of them are really good. Like, maybe swap that around the other way. Maybe 80% of them are average, 10% of them are garbage, 10% of them are really good. That would be at least a lot more fun. Like I've always said, when, the old saying goes that, the journey is supposed to be the fun thing, right? Before you want to get to that reward, you want to get to that accomplishment, but the journey is supposed to be the most fun part of all. And with paragons, that's not the case, and with fishing for greater rifts, that's not the case. So I think that, if you're going to spend the majority of your time doing something, why not enjoy it, right? So that's just my thought about it. The other thing they didn't talk about, speaking of greater rifts, is the lag issues and the crazy lag we get with like the Witch Doctor sets, crazy lag that we get with just the density and things like that. They didn't talk about any of that. So are we going into Season 5 with the same issues? Still fishing, paragons out of control, and lagging nonstop? I mean, those three things ruin the season. It doesn't matter how many cool things you stick into the game. If you don't fix those, it's just going to be the same old thing. So hopefully they do. But I guess we'll see with time and all that. But overall, the rest of it, there were a lot of cool features. I'm excited for the solo and group play being balanced. The new recipe for Kanai's Cube is cool. The set dungeons is kind of cool. And, getting some of the reworks of sets, which are things we knew were going to happen anyways. Getting new legendaries, new bounties, things we already knew was going to happen anyways. And like the penance and things like that. Those are just cosmetic, for fun things. So nothing too crazy there. The UI buff fix, which is pretty cool, but then again, it's a hot fix and not content. So, you can argue that, hey, you know what, there's a lot of stuff in this patch. For a patch, it's great, right? For a BlizzCon, not so much. That's how I feel about it. This patch is, like I said, pretty cool. And I look forward to trying this stuff out and playing it a whole bunch. But at the same time, this is BlizzCon. We need more. We need more than this. At least, get into some of the really deep issues like those ones that I talked about, about fixing stuff for greater rifts, about getting, Paragon situated and things like that. We would have liked to hear a lot more. I understand it was only a 1 hour, timetable you guys had, but that was your decision, not ours. So that's what I think about the entire thing. I would say that, the panel was better than last year, for sure, but it was slightly above average. and that's not what I expect out of a Blizzard game. You know, when you see Hearthstone, your mind gets blown. When you see Warcraft, mind blown. Like, I've been watching that Warcraft stuff like crazy with the Demon Hunter and everything. I'm actually really interested in that. Like, I might actually go back to World of Warcraft for this new expansion. I played World of Warcraft for the beginning, and, you know, I'm pretty bored of the game, but this new expansion for Warcraft is looking pretty sweet, and I might actually definitely check it out. I mean, I absolutely love Diablo 3. I'm passionate about the game, but if I watch Diablo 3 and I'm more interested about the other games there that I'm not passionate about, but I'm more interested in those games, that's a problem, right? That's a problem from somebody that really does love the game. It's just kind of crazy like that. So I don't know, those are my thoughts, but I might make some more videos talking more in depth about these things, maybe some of my future goals as far as Diablo 3 and YouTube and streaming and all that stuff is concerned. But I do stream Tuesday through Sunday, and check it out. This weekend the schedule's been a little bit messed up, but yeah, definitely check all that stuff out. Links down below. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, found it informative. Hit the like, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. See you guys over in my live streams where I'll be, you know, continuing the discussion, playing Diablo, things like that, and looking forward to the future of Diablo. But the near future is looking good, but I want to know what the, you know, past that is looking like, and we didn't really get that, but, you know, hopefully with time we will. And for now, things are good right now, but how long is that going to be like that for? That's the question. Guess we'll find out. Until then, my name is Shinobi, and thanks for watching.